We did it, everyone. We saved television. This is We Have Concerns. Hi, Jeff Cannata.
Hi, Anthony Carboni.
Hello, concerned citizens.
Anthony, we're getting older.
Nah.
Every day.
You are.
You are. Well, the good news is that you're the youngest you're ever going to be.
That's right.
Now. Yeah.
Youngest I've ever been. Think
That's
about
right.
that.
Well,
depending on how you view time.
I don't think that's true.
Well, how do you view time? We view time as a linear space, Jeff.
Sure.
That's all I'm going to say.
Well, the other thing we view linearly is aging.
Mm-hmm.
And not just linearly, but when you think about aging, when I think about aging, maybe you're different than I am, but when I think about aging,
I am, because I'm much younger.
Well, that's true. You don't even think about aging. It's so far away from where you sit right now.
That's right.
No, I think about it if you were going to graph it, on a graph. I think of it like a slope. You're aging constantly.
No, it's
gradually.
Not a slope, my friend. It's not a slope.
Maybe precipitous.
It's not a slope. Have you ever watched well, I mean, you can tell it's not a slope because you have kids. It's not a slope.
Sure.
There's a huge like ramp up in the beginning, and then there's like a slow kind of like chill couple of decades. Yeah. And then there's that like you hit that point where better not break a hip. Because if you break a hip, right. It's all over.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But I think
my dog right now is my dog is a number one, perfect. Number two, 17 years old, right? Old dog. And just in the last year, eyes are cloudy, having joint problems, having teeth problems. Like, it happened all of a sudden. There's no slope.
Yeah, I guess that's true, but I don't think that most people think of it that way. I certainly don't think of it that way. I think of today I'm older than I was yesterday. Tomorrow I'll be older than I am today. Yeah. It is this slow procession into entropy, right? Into decrepitude. It's eventually my body will decay and decline. And that is just sort of this progression, this plodding, gradual progression.
Yeah. Well, I once gave my friend a panic attack by playing for him. There's a They Might Be Giants song that just goes, "You're older than you've ever been, and now you're even older, and now you're even older, and now you're even," and like it just keeps going. And freaked my friend out. We were just like listening to a silly album in the car, and he freaked out. He was like, "Pull over."
I need to get off this aging
My dude
ride.
had never had. We were kids at the time. My dude had never had the existential shower. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure.
Where you're in the shower for the first time and you go, "Oh, I'm probably gonna die one day."
Yes.
And then you're like, "Well, I got to sit down in the shower now for 20 minutes." I could tell he like never had that.
The long dark shower of the soul.
That's what they call it. Kierkegaard said that.
Well, there's a new study that we just got from Stanford. And
the new prison experiment.
That's all they do at Stanford. Variations on a theme.
They're just constantly doing prison experiments with people.
Well, they shouldn't have spent all that money building those prisons on campus.
It's not the best use of an educational budget.
Yeah. Sure, they call them dorms.
But it is very American of them.
It turned out real moneymaker.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Stanford Medicine has released a brand new study, which is really the first of its kind. This is a long-term study, pretty small sample size. It's only 108 people. 2 people, I guess, couldn't make it the whole time. 108 people.
No, 110 would have ruined it.
Would have ruined it. It's too many.
108 is the perfect sample size.
107 too few. Between the ages of 25 and 75. Mm-hmm. And this lasted, in some cases, up to 7 years, where large amounts of data were collected on these people. So blood samples, all kinds of
bank statements.
yeah, exactly. Confessions,
Yeah.
the whole 9 yards.
They hooked one of
Th
those old school boxes up to their TV so they could get the ratings.
That's right. That's right. They were analyzing these people on a molecular level over long periods of time to get some insight into what aging does to the body. We've heard a lot, and I think we've talked about it on the show a number of times over the last few years, the difference between chronological aging and biological aging, right? And so this
Yeah.
was the goal of the study, is to sort of
Sometimes
define
aging
it.
is not chronological, and sometimes like you're an 8-year-old kid and you make a wish on a machine
That's right.
and you wake up the next day and you're a 35-year-old executive at a toy company.
That's right. That's metaphysical aging.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That's Hanksian.
That's what they call Hanksian aging.
Yeah. And you know what? You can still have sex with a lady.
Yeah, and it's not uncool. It's not uncool, and
Not weird.
It's
No.
it's part of the movie that ages really well, much like Tom Hanks.
Well,
have they made a Broadway musical of Big yet? Have they tried?
I'm sure. I mean,
What do you think the song is when he has sex with the lady?
What are these feelings?
God, I bet if they did a Broadway version of Big, I have a feeling the piano dancing scene goes on for like 20 minutes.
That's the reason they do the musical, is the piano dancing scene.
That's the pivotal point. One of the least important scenes in the film.
Right. But the iconic piano dancing scene.
That's right. And the iconic child having sex with a lady.
They're not the only thing that's big.
Whoa. There it is.
So this study came to a what I consider to be a surprising conclusion, although to you it might not be. What with your perception of how aging works. They indicated that aging is not gradual. It is not constant. It is not a progression that you can graph with a straight line. It is rather something that happens in bursts. And they actually were able to pinpoint 2 chronological ages that tend to have massive spikes in aging on a molecular level.
Okay.
And those years are age 60.
All right.
And age 44. Age 44, bam, old. And then age 60, bam, real old.
That's interesting.
Yes.
And they were just doing 25 to 75 because obviously there's a big change in aging that we all know. We don't need to track that one.
Well, that's part of the flaw, not flaw of the study, but part of the desire to do more research into this, because you're right. The upper and lower bound of the aging here is, obviously you're going to age, at 13 or whatever it is, but there may be more that happens past 75, right? That on a molecular level. So just within these,
but we don't care because honestly, that's how much we care about old people.
That's right.
That's right. Society's just like, yeah. And then you get old and then what? Then nothing. Then you're old 75. And we don't care.
Yeah. You're no longer interesting.
Sorry. What do you drop dead already?
That's right. But 44, and as soon as I read this, I was like, oh man, I bet if you looked at my photo app on my phone, but the year of 44, I probably made a very, very obvious visual decline.
You think so?
I suspect that's when you get a lot of this gray that's now in here. Ooh, doggies.
Well, I don't know. I started going gray at like 30.
I mean, I started going gray, but I feel like there was a dramatic shift right around 44. I mean, right around 44 for me also was like, my second kid was like the pandemic was it's like a lot of,
Yeah, that's another
you
thing
know,
I wonder about. So they had 108 people, right?
yes, small sample size. So let's say that up front. And also all sourced locally at Stanford. So these are Californians of a
Organic,
certain socioeconomic,
farm to
it was,
table.
yeah, it was, it was men and women. It
Yeah.
was across ethnicities, but it was also sourced from the same place in the planet, living
Right.
on the same basic diet. So there's a lot of
Well,
stuff.
and same culturally too. So I
Right.
do also wonder, like, if 44, is this a biological thing or is this a mix of biological and other life stuff? Like you're saying, 44 was your second kid. I
Right.
would imagine, and like, look, do a study on this. I bet they have. You think having a kid doesn't age people?
Oh, it absolutely does.
You think you
And
think you think at least a year and a half straight of sleeping in shifts doesn't mess with people?
destroy everything. Yes. Yes. Well, they are very quick to note that this is a small scope, and they would like to expand this based on what they found. They want to look at parts of the world where people's life expectancies are longer or shorter. Does it shift? Does the date shift because of that? Does
Right.
the date shift because of diet? There's a lot of variables here that can be dug into, but I think it's interesting because
When did
it
the
is
fancy cookie place open up in your town?
right.
If the fancy
That
if the fancy cookie place, the $7 cookie place opened up in your town all of a sudden,
yeah.
did that change your biological age?
I
Probably, if you're eating
mean,
a box of those cookies every week.
I, yes, it changed both my biological age and my biological weight. But but they looked at 135,000 different molecules and microbes in the body, in the blood, in the microbiome, the gut, um, RNA, proteins, all these different factors that they're checking out. 135,000 different molecules and microbes, which resulted in over 250 billion distinct data points. It's
Hmm,
a lot of data.
that's a lot of
Again,
data.
from a small number of people relatively, but a lot of data. And the crazy thing about this, the reason it is so, I think, persuasive, is that these molecules and microbes undergo shifts in their abundance, the number of them, their capacity, their effectiveness at these points in time, the age 44 and age 60. 81% of these molecules fluctuated spiked at those uh,
Hmm.
at those years. So it's not and this is across all different systems in the body. So it's not like, oh, well, this thing changes or that. It's like the body changes.
Yeah,
81% of these 135,000 different things they looked at
because of the
changed
cookies.
because of the cookies.
Hmm.
So and this is non-linear fluctuation. So it's not like, oh, they're sort of slowly changing. They're slowly changing. It's like, no, they're sort of constant. And then that date happens. You wake up on your 44th birthday and it's like, bam, molecules.
That's so funny. You wake up at 44 and all of a sudden you're just like, it's like you sit up and you're like, oh my God, overnight. It's like turning into a werewolf. I imagine it being
Yeah.
like a lycanthropic transformation where you wake up on the morning of your 44th birthday and there's just like, it's
Yeah.
not just a couple ear hairs, it's like a full head of ear hair, you
It's the
know?
44th full moon you've seen. And
That's
there
right.
it is.
You you can't you're all slumped and hunched over like a wolf because your back hurts all of a sudden.
Yeah. You're
Can I tell
you're
you, I always thought when I was a kid that when I got old enough, I would get the accent that my grandparents had.
Oh, you thought that was a function of age because they were older when you were young?
When I was a little kid, I was pretty sure because my grandparents had their Eastern European accent And my mom kind of had like patterns of talking like they did.
Right.
I was pretty sure that I would age into talking like my mom and talking like my grandparents. So I thought that all grandparents, ipso facto, transitive property, all grandparents had the accent that my grandparents had.
That's the grandparent accent.
That's right.
That's how grandparents talk.
I thought it was one day I would wake up and I definitely thought everybody goes bald.
Well, yeah.
Because my grandpa was bald, I definitely was just like, well, everybody goes bald.
Right.
That's what happens.
Yeah.
You get up, you just grow, you don't have hair anymore one day. You wake up and you have an accent.
Falls out.
Yeah.
The accent falls in.
Exactly. You wake up one morning and you sound like you're reciting Stregonona. and you have no hair. You just turn into a character from Fiddler on the Roof.
It's kind of like turning into a wolf.
It is.
There's more singing.
You just turn into Zero Mostel instead.
That's funny. Yeah, I heard somebody say recently that this whole debate, age-old debate about nature versus nurture, and how much does a parent's guidance influence a child versus the environment they grow up in, and their argument was like, if parents were really the biggest factor in a kid's learning, then every immigrant's kids would have the same accent as their parents. And it's like, oh, that actually does make, like, what is a kid learning most from? The environment that he lives in?
Yeah.
That gives him that, accent of his peers, or the parents that are talking to him with the accent he doesn't pick up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty persuasive, I thought.
Yeah, that's a good argument. That's a good argument, because I definitely, yeah. Oh boy. It was heavy. They had heavy accents.
My grandfather did too, man. My grandfather, well, his English was not great.
Mm-hmm.
He was very, he was Italian, and his, he moved over here when he was 15. So, he struggled with English a bit, and he had a very, very thick accent. But yeah, my dad didn't. Not a lick of an accent.
My mom used to say, because one time I was looking at, my grandmother had everything fastidiously organized and labeled in her closet, but it was labeled like pink hat with feather. And it was like, pink hat was spelled pretty normally. No, pink hat was pink hat, het, HET, wid, WID, feather, FADAR.
Wow.
And I was like, Mom, Grandma can't spell. And she's like, hey, your grandmother can't spell in 6 languages.
I love that. That's awesome.
She can't spell in 6 languages. She's like, you can't spell in 1.
Yeah. Also, this isn't a hat. It is a het. And maybe you don't even know what a het is.
Yeah. Maybe you need to learn about where we come from and a little bit about your culture if you don't even know what a het is. With a fatter.
Well, I think one of the fascinating things about this story, this study, is that not only are you aging, you are actually becoming more at risk for disease. And I mean, that's part of what aging is, right?
Yeah.
Is a breakdown of your body's defenses. And that at 44, there was the most significant changes were in molecules related to the processing of alcohol, caffeine, and lipids like fats and oils.
Yeah.
So it's how you metabolize alcohol, caffeine, and fat basically stops working as well.
Buddy, you don't need to tell me,
right?
You don't need to tell me anything about the alcohol. You don't need to tell me anything about that. I think we all know that.
Right. All of a sudden you can't drink like you used to.
Oof.
But
can I tell you something, Jeff?
Yeah.
All of aging and like the breaking down of things. Whenever I think about the breaking down of it's like, oh, your cells start mutating and you start like not reproducing everything as well. And they're just these tiny little mutations and errors that start getting copied and they build up over time. I wish that we just turned into a pile of goo. Like when we died, like whenever I hear like that everything is mutating and changing, I'm just like, it would be great if one day you were just walking around the house and finally everything just mutated to the point where you just go,
just squish into the carpet.
That's it, man. You're done. You're over. Like that would, God, can you imagine?
Nice. Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be so much better. Do you know how easy it would be for your family? Like here's the only problem is like if you died, if you turned into goo, when nobody else was home, but you have like a dog, like your family would come home and they're just like, there would be nothing left.
That's right.
It would be nothing left. It would be like, what happened? It's like, well, this happens. You know, you'd file a missing person report.
Yeah.
Cop would come over and just be like, no, we see this a lot. Is your dog like burping a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sparky has a grandma mustache.
Yeah. I'm so sorry for your loss. But we do believe it was natural causes because of all the goo.
A little bit of goop on Sparky's upper lip, you know?
Yeah, exactly. If it wasn't natural causes, there would be no goo. So we apologize, but at least you don't have to put them into a wooden box and dig a hole for them, which is just feels so wasteful. Doesn't that just feel so wasteful?
It sure does. Yeah.
But if the mutations would just keep going to the point where we turned into goo, Jeff.
I mean, on a certain timeline, we do.
Yeah, but like
it just doesn't happen fast enough for you.
Yeah, it's a stinky, messy, slow timeline, and it's like hard and it's like gross. It's just like if we just turned into a cup of goo, little cup of goo.
I mean, I'm surprised goo. It wouldn't be nicer if it wasn't so, I don't know, hard to clean up.
I'm picturing like
cup of dust.
I'm picturing like a Nickelodeon GAC, but clear. Almost like something in between a Nickelodeon slime and and like an aloe vera gel.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something in between that. Yeah. And then when you die, you simply turn into a goo, and the person next to you can just slurp you up in a cup or something.
If you're going full Nickelodeon, maybe you walk in the door and you say, "Hey, Grandma," and then she just splurps on top of your head, and everyone has a nice laugh about it.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious, and it's easier to get your grandma out of your hair than gum.
That's true.
So that's point one for goop. I think
nice moisturizer.
You don't wind up with like a Gerald's Game situation ever either, which is good.
Yeah,
where you're chained to a bed and then your significant other is slowly decomposing while your dog eats them. Like you don't ever run into that.
No.
I think
you'd be chained to a bed next to a pile of goop.
Yeah, exactly. I think and the dog is of course going to eat it, but it's not going to turn the dog evil. The dog's not going to get a taste for flesh. It's going to get a taste for goop.
Yeah. And then now you got to shop around at all the goop stores,
Let me tell you something. You don't got to shop around for goop. My dog will eat whatever goop, and then it'll still eat whatever I put in the bowl. You just don't want your dog to want to eat flesh. That's the big change. If we're going to mutate to death, I really do think... Now, here's the other thing. We could instantly turn into goop, Jeff. But what if for 5 glorious minutes, you actually mutated into some sort of Trauma Films Toxic Avenger... Ninja Turtles-esque thing, like an Akira thing, where it's like, I'm dying, and it's like,
just an early warning system.
Yeah, exactly.
So everyone knows.
Yeah, where you just
so you can pull the car over to the side of the road.
Yes, or somebody could get a Schlurpin cup ready.
A Schlurpin cup.
Looks
like Harold's going all Toxic Avenger on us. Get on your Schlurpin.
I just think if our death is gonna be because of a slow change and mutation and error and thing like that, it should at least end cool.
I think that would be fun.
It doesn't end cool.
A little more fun. No, it ends with a whimper.
Yeah.
Yeah. All you can find,
Stupid
by the way,
T.S. Eliot.
you can find all of this in our new spec script, 5 minutes to goop.
5 minutes to goop. I'd watch it.
Dude, come on. That's a $1 billion franchise.
You could just slurp somebody up, throw them in a trash can in the corner.
Yeah.
And that'd be the end of it. You wouldn't even have to. Would you imagine how much time that would save?
So much time.
And like,
How
I
much
think it would
goop are
change
you
the. Go on.
Well, I want to know how much goop you are expecting. Is like, because you keep saying slurp it into a cup.
Yeah.
I'm feeling like a human size amount of goop is going to be more of the bucket variety.
Well, I think we're mostly water. So I think when you turn into goop, probably there will be a large spill. But the water, I think, will separate mostly from the goop.
All right.
That's how I'm picturing it.
A mop and cup situation is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
you will probably need, now that you're right, you will probably need a towel. Like in my head, you were turning into like a perfect, and it was you. I was you specifically. I'm picturing whenever I picture somebody dying. Sure. I think it was going to be like a clean 8 to 12 ounces of goop.
That just seems on the low end for a man of my size.
I'm just thinking you're mostly water, the space between molecules and atoms and things. I just imagine like it could condense down into a Schlorping cup if it were efficient. And then you take the Schlorping cup and you throw it into the trash can in the corner, and I think it would revolutionize grieving. I think grieving would be very changed if somebody turned into a cup full of Schlorp.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Like
you'd get over things a lot faster.
Just a Schlorpy, just a cup with a couple of eyeballs bobbing in it.
Now, the first time you saw somebody die in front of you, that would be a little weird.
Well, it feels like it would be very abrupt.
It would be
in the middle of a conversation, and all of a sudden, they squish.
I would imagine there would still be like deathbed situations because you're sick, maybe.
Anthony, come close. I think that's the time for you to grab your Schlorping cup.
All right, I will, Grandpa. I promise. I'll slurp you up.
Bring it. Bring it near. I can feel myself slurping.
And I didn't have the family Schlorping cup with me. I lost it because of the ADHD. So instead, I've just got like a Buc-ee's tumbler. Just got one of those big Buc-ee's cups.
Sure. Yeah.
And I just slurp.
Straw still in it.
Yeah, the straw's built in. You can't really get rid of it. So I'm just gonna slurp my grandpa up into a Buc-ee's cup. And then you got to be careful, like not to put it in the cup holder, like for the passenger side, because you don't want anybody taking a sip.
You don't want anybody to sip Grandpa.
No, you don't want to sip a Grandpa.
Although you might be tempted, just to see.
Jeff, it's time for another confession. Have you ever been around cremated remains?
Yes.
Have you thought about just sticking your finger in and doing a little taste?
No, I have not.
You have not? That's just me?
No, that might be just you. I have not thought about having a taste. No,
just a little one, just to know.
I mean,
you know that I'm curious about human flesh.
Yes. So you're thinking of the cremated remains as just very well done human flesh.
Well, it's like the powder that comes with ramen. It's the powder that comes with instant ramen or like a mac and
macaroni
cheese.
And cheese. Yes.
Yeah. It's like it's concentrated flavor.
It's concentrated Grandpa.
Yeah. So like, because we've talked before about how like if a little slice of me came off.
Well, that's different.
Yeah, it's different.
That's different.
But like it's all in the same family, baby. You know what I mean?
I think supple, delicious, freshly harvested slice of you.
Yeah.
Very different than processed,
yeah,
GMO.
Sure. Jeff, listen. Everybody likes a nice trip to the steakhouse, but you're not going to turn down a mac and cheese at home if you're hungry.
You're not wrong.
It's
You're not wrong.
two different kinds of cravings. And I have thought when I'm not surrounded by human remains, that's never happened, but I have thought, and I've certainly, I certainly have an alibi for any time somebody would say that I was surrounded by human remains.
Right.
But I have thought when I've been around cremated remains, I have been like, do a little.
Little like one of those lick-a-sticks.
Yeah.
That's what you would do? Like a lick-a-stick?
Yeah, where they just give a kid 4 packets of different sugars.
Right.
And then more sugar to dip in it and get all nasty and disgusting.
In your version, it would just be 4 relatives. It's just different.
The lick-a-stick is sweet. I'm thinking about savory.
Oh,
that's umami.
Savory.
That's what it is. I'm just saying.
Your cousin Savory.
There's a little.
It's Avery. His name's Avery. Oh, no, sorry. My mistake.
Sorry. My grandma wrote his name tag. I don't know. I'm just curious. I'm just curious about the taste of human flesh. That's all.
Sure. Well, anyway, when you hit 44, not able to process those fatty human fleshes anymore.
Do you think there's the big difference in the taste of human flesh between somebody who's 43 and somebody who's 44? Do you think the aging probably changes the taste?
I bet it really changes. Yeah. You want that nice supple. It's like veal to venison.
Right, the marbling.
It's a lot of marbling.
It's the marbling of it.
I felt the marbling in my own self. You
felt it change.
I felt myself marbling. One of the things that this study points out, though, with in particular, I love this line because, particularly with alcohol metabolism, it said dysfunction in alcohol metabolism could result at 44 from an uptick in alcohol consumption in people's mid-40s, often a stressful period of life. I think that's very funny.
So all at once, on a single day, your 44th birthday, your life gets more stressful.
Sure.
You turn to the bottle.
Yeah.
And your body cannot process it.
Can't handle it.
That's a triple whammy, baby.
It's a real rough birthday.
That is a triple whammy right there.
Yeah.
My dad has one glass of wine now, and he's like laughing hysterically, giggling like a fool. Mm-hmm. And then he has to sleep for like a day and a half to 2 days.
I mean, I feel that.
Genuinely.
Same with me. I can't do it. But,
you were never a big drinker anyway, though.
No, I was never a big drinker. I mean, I went to UC Santa Barbara. So,
sure.
You have to. UCSB stands for You Can Study Buzzed. But I never really was that big of a drinker. That said, I still have seen a difference in my tolerance level in my 40s. But also, I feel like that kind of ignores the fact that, people drink heavily in their, when they're 21. I guess this study didn't cover 21, but it just feels like more alcohol consumption in your 40. I don't know. It just feels like people. Well, it seems like a very simplistic explanation to me.
Well, number one, I think this is probably the be all end all of studies that was done perfectly. And number two, I do think you can say that, but for as much as people are like drinking heavily in their 20s, we can also say that they get up the next day and they go to an 8 a.m. class.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's not happening. That's not happening.
Not when you're 44.
No. And I do think there's probably, is there an uptick in people drinking in their 40s? There's more, I do feel like there's more with my friends. I'm, of course, 29, but for my friends who are in their 40s, I do notice a more of an uptick in the casual glass of wine.
Okay.
The casual, like a casual couple, like have some people over on a Saturday and go through, I don't know, like a bottle. Like I've watched somebody down a bottle of wine.
I'm just saying, when I think of the term binge drinking, I don't think of the age 44. You know what I mean?
No, I guess not. But I do think that were those people drinking less in their 30s? I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, Stanford, I don't track my friends' alcohol consumption, you weirdos.
Yeah.
Hey, Stanford,
Don't ask me to do that.
Hey, Stanford, if my friend has a problem, I'll certainly bring something up. But Stanford, I'm not the cops. Okay?
Yeah.
And it's weird of you, Stanford.
It is weird.
Did they get data on that? Or are they just going, maybe people drink more?
No, I think this was to point out that lifestyle was not in the purview of this study. So they didn't, because
it sounds like somebody projecting, if I'm honest. It sounds like somebody being like, because your 40s are a pretty rough time, man.
It's rough, man.
You don't get the grant that you wanted to get, so you have to do this other study. You know how it goes, and I don't know,
you're really more of a Cal Berkeley guy. And
your husband leaves you for one of his graduate students.
One of their other theories,
and you're a little older, and you've never used apps. And what are you gonna do now, Jerry? What are you gonna do? You'll never find somebody like Mike again, and you screwed it up.
You screwed it
Just
up.
like you screwed up everything. It's like, hey, man, this is a weird hypothesis.
Now you can't even metabolize alcohol. Yeah. The only thing that lets you sleep at night.
Hey, Jerry, are you sure that this is the hypothesis based on the data that we saw? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. All the
Are you sure you want to ask me about that?
The other theory they had about 44 was that the data may be skewed by perimenopause, which is sort of an early onset menopause for women. But they did an analysis of the data separating out men and women, and they found out, nope, 44-year-old men, samesies. So it wasn't being skewed by any kind of menopausal change for one half of the participants. It really is something that happens to dudes as well.
Menopause?
No, not menopause, but this 44-year-old.
No, but perimenopause. Yes.
Perry is clearly a man's name, and it's Perry's menopause.
Perimenopause played Roz on Frasier.
Perimenopause was a fantastic lawyer.
What are we doing here?
So the other thing the other study that they put out, I mean, not study, the same study yielded another theory that we have there. They coined a term called agiotypes. They say there are 4 different agiotypes. People age in different ways, basically different systems in the body age for different people, more rapidly for different people. So you might be a metabolic ager or an immune system ager or a hepatic or nephrotic ager. That's the kidney
a necrotic
or
ager?
Nephrotic.
Oh, I was like
NEPHROTIC.
Because I'd love to be a necrotic ager.
I think that we all are necrotic agers.
I'd love to be a dark wizard ager. Like, I would love to come into my dark powers as I get older.
Yes. Yeah, you're necrotic agers. They get older and more slumped, but then they are also able to raise skeletons from the ground.
Yeah, a necrotic ager, like, that's Lich King, baby.
That's right.
That's a Lich King, or that's like Palpatine in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
Where
it comes on fast.
It comes on fast. One day you wake up and you're connected to a robotic arm.
That's right. Yeah.
And you have a dark choir around you.
The bad news is your eyes are sunken and red. Your skin starts hanging in flaps and you start wearing robes. Mm-hmm. But the good news is you can control an army of the undead.
Yeah. And also, Jeff, let's go ahead and move robes to the pro column.
Fair point.
You know, like the red eyes and the flaps, I get where you're coming from, but I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I see the dark wizard robes as a real pro.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Comfort, convenience, airy ventilation, all of it. Anyway, so these 4 different types, the last 2 are liver and kidneys. And they found that different people, and they don't, the study hasn't come to any conclusions as to what puts you in these categories as far as, predictors of which, agiotype you will be.
Oh, cool. This is just prejudice is all this is.
But some people age differently. We fall into these 4 categories of
what's the best category?
Oh man, I don't know. I don't think there's a good one. I don't think they're all bad.
I mean, look, you got to age, right? Like you got to age.
Yeah.
If you want to fall into one of these categories, what's the category I want to be in? Nephrotic doesn't sound like the one.
Nephrotic is kidney.
Yeah.
Hepatic, I guess that's how you pronounce it, is liver.
Okay.
So it's, metabolic agers are higher risk for diabetes.
All right.
And people with immune agiotype are higher levels of inflammatory markers, are more prone to immune-related diseases.
Okay.
It's all bad. It's all bad.
I would like the immunotype aging to just be like, as you age, you get more immune to sickness. I think that we're focusing on the wrong things. We need to figure out how to change up aging. We need the nephrotic to change to necrotic, and we need immunotype to mean that you actually get healthier as you get older.
That would be nice.
That's the one.
I think you get immune to other people's opinions. You just don't give a fuck anymore.
That's
what
the
that's
one.
about. Yeah. Yeah. But I think it's a fascinating study because, I mean, I don't know. We started this and you said you kind of felt like aging is in fits and starts. And clearly there are these big milestone moments in life, puberty, menopause, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't think of aging as being this kind of like spike in decline, these spike points. I think of it as a gradual decline. And it's really wild to think that, no, it happens in fits and starts.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely thought of it as more of a, I guess if I had to think of it instead of a slope, I probably thought of it as sort of like a logarithmic scale. You know what I mean? Where it's like, as you get closer to end of life, the aging rapidly accelerates.
It's compound. It's exponential growth.
Yeah, exactly. It's like how an earthquake only goes from 1 to 8, but 8 is like crazy, man.
Right.
It's not just 8 times. You know what I mean? It's like a lot more. So that's kind of the way I thought of it. But to know that there are multiple
age
points,
factorial.
Yes. To know that there are more like exact points where it happens is kind of fascinating.
Yeah. And again, I'm curious, these researchers at Stanford, this just came out, this study just came out this month. But they intend to, kind of dig into this and have bigger sample size. Again, 108 people from the same geographic location, not a huge wide-ranging study. It is a long-lasting study and a very dense data study, right?
Well,
so lots of data from a small group, but
that's the trick with stuff like this. Like we've talked about these kind of longitudinal studies before where it's tough to get good data over a long period of time from a large group. Like it's just, it's hard to do. You'd be like,
these people were, by the way, were giving blood, stool samples every month for years. So that's a really difficult logistic.
Stool samples. They had to lend the scientists books.
That's
They're just like, what are you reading right now that's good? Let me borrow it. It's like, dude, Jerry, you haven't returned my other book yet. It's like, let me borrow it, dude. It's for the study. You lose a lot of books that way.
That's right.
Jerry will like borrow your DVDs, your Blu-rays that have like 2 discs, and like it'll come back with just like 1 disc.
And it'll be like worse that way.
You'll be like, Jerry, where's the extras? What happened to the extras?
They're in there.
They're not in there, Jerry. Well, all right. Well, shut up and give me your stool sample. I'll look when I go home. I don't know, man. Get off my back. My husband just left me.
At age 44, by the way, there's a spike in Blu-ray related arguments.
Dude, it's only over the age of 44 anybody talks about Blu-ray anything.
That's right.
That's it. Under 44, nobody goes
cares.
like, what? Just stream it, Jerry. Just stream it. Why do you
Nobody
need to
cares
borrow
about the
something?
extras anymore, Jerry.
The loss of extras is really what this is about.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm honest, the loss of
Yeah.
extras is one of the greatest losses we've ever had as a society.
We lose our ability to metabolize alcohol, caffeine, and extras.
That's right. Yeah, but no, it's tough because we talked about, I think it was a study that was being done in the UK that had been done over a period of like 20, 30 years. And it's tough because there's a lot of data that has to be thrown out. A lot of people just stop participating. They're just like, no, I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
I
don't want to give you my stool.
A lot of people, if they have a sudden health thing that is unrelated to the study, they may no longer be able to participate in the study because of that illness or whatever. It's really tough to get good long-term data. And then when you think about like a long-term study like this, baby, the researchers is aging too.
Right. Yeah.
So like if you want to do a really long-term study, that's something that's got to be handed off to like different teams over time. And so it's really tough to like get data on all this stuff.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Yeah. And they suspect, that there's another inflection point past the end of their study, right? In the 70s.
But once again, we don't care.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Yeah, we get it. You're old.
Yeah.
What happened? Oh, what happens at 75? Do you get older? Dude, you're 75.
Yeah, you're old.
Chill out. You're lucky.
Yeah.
Just be happy.
Yeah.
Just give me folksy wisdom when I come by. I don't want to study. Just make me feel better.
That's
what old people are for. They're for folksy wisdom.
Well, this was pretty depressing to me to read, the age 44 thing, because I'm past it.
Yeah.
And
but did you felt it? You
really
did?
I mean, I don't know if I felt it specifically on that date, but certainly my 40, 41, 42, I didn't feel old.
Yeah.
I didn't feel like the physical sort of breakdown that I now, just today I woke up to do this and stuff was hurting that didn't hurt last night.
Yeah.
My neck, my back, now
finish the song.
That's right. The process of waking up now is taking an inventory of pain.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
Inventory of Pain is the absolute lamest Clive Barker book.
Yeah.
Inventory of Pain sucks.
It's not a good one.
No, skip it. Go to Nightbreed. Yeah, that's interesting. I think there is, and you're right about like chronological aging versus biological aging, because the mile points or the mile markers, the big kind of things that we put onto life, philosophically or culturally, are different than apparently what's going on when we're aging, right? 18's a big deal, right? Because culturally we've said that 18 is an adult. There's no other reason that 18's a big deal. Culturally, you are an adult. There's turning 30 is a big deal, right? Everybody's like, oh no, I turned 30. It's the end of my youth. I would know I'm 29, but that's what people tell me. And then we do put a lot of weight on 40, which is, I don't know. We like clean mile markers. We like big round numbers.
Yeah.
But I've never really felt like that stuff theoretically adds up to any sort of change in who I am, either in terms of like wisdom or aging or anything like that,
Yeah, it's all sort of arbitrary and symbolic. But that's the other thing that I thought of when I saw the story was 44, huh? Is that a vestige of sort of, for a lot of human history, people didn't live much longer than 44.
That's fair.
I mean, is that literally the body going like, all right, all done, did it, probably procreated by now, did it, time to die.
And you're like, no, we're still healthy. And it's like, wait, we're still healthy?
Yeah, what?
No, I've been doing everything I can to stop that. what is
Exactly.
what is going on here?
Like biologically, your body's like, all right, we accomplished all we need to accomplish. And you're like, no, I got some stuff I still want to do. Like there's that Blu-ray extras that I haven't watched yet.
It's just, you just die.
Die, Jerry.
I do wonder if we're making things harder on ourselves from a mental and emotional standpoint. If the actual biological aging, or if this change happens at 44, right? I wonder if we're hurting ourselves more by getting to 40 and being like, 40, that wasn't anything. I guess I'm fine. I'm the best one. And then you turn 44 and you're like, no, why is it hard? Does it make everything worse for you because you thought you did better? You thought you beat the curve?
Yeah, you thought you pulled a fast one on aging.
Yeah.
Screw you, time. I win.
And then 44 hits you. You're like, no, I thought I made it.
I was coasting into home.
I thought I was, dude, all anybody wants to be once they hit their 40s, all anybody wants to be is like young for their age.
Yeah.
That's all anybody wants, is to be told by people, oh, you look young for your age. You act young for your age. You seem younger than that. Oh, it's like, it's the reverse of the 16 trying to sneak into a club.
Right.
It's like, no, take me seriously, bro. Bro, take me seriously. I'm old guy. Now it's like, no, I'm baby.
You're youthful.
I'm
and
baby.
Spry. Yeah. Yeah. You know what they say? 44 is the new 43.
That's what they say. That's what they say. What a fascinating thing.
It is wild, right? And I would love to know if this changes, culturally, geographically, regionally, if they can isolate diet. And if, honestly, their goal here, as stated explicitly in the study, is to be able to maybe target, like, hey, 44th birthday is coming right around the bend. Maybe we do X, Y, or Z to mitigate some of this, pick up your exercise, or maybe cut down on the binge drinking. I don't know.
Or the $7 cookies.
Hey, now you've gone too far.
You got to no. This
how dare you?
They actually said in the study that $7 cookies are fine.
The best. They're the best for 40-plus-year-olds.
Yeah, there was a note. There was a note in the study that said does not apply to $7 cookies.
Asterisk.
Yeah.
Asterisk cookie.
Yeah. Well, hey, everybody listening, one day you'll be dead.
Yeah.
But we actually have.
It's not gradual. It's just going to happen all at once.
That's right.
You're going to just squish into a slurpy ball of goop.
But if you do a bunch of push-ups like the last week you're 43, you'll probably beat it.
Hey, can't hurt.
Can't hurt. I mean, it can.
It probably will hurt the next day,
But speaking of death, we do have, Jeff, in the Discord, a channel called Memento Mori, where we actually help each other through some rough times or things about health or aging or exercise or just philosophy. It's a really
motivational.
It's motivational.
Right.
And it's just one of the many channels and discussions that we have going on the Discord. And you can be a member of that Discord,
Oh, it's easy. It's so easy to become a member of the Discord. All you got to do is support this show. Make sure this show gets to continue. Head over to patreon.com/wehaveconcerns. Give us only $1 every month, $12 every year, which is such a small number when you think about it. That gives you access to the Discord. If you'd like to donate a larger number to the continuance of this here podcast, we would gladly accept it. And in exchange, you'd get even cooler stuff, right, Anthony?
Yeah, you can get bonus episodes. You can get the cold opens, which are the discussions that we have before every show. Those you get. It's like an entirely second different podcast that you get every week, along with bonus videos and early episodes, other cool things. If you want to get that stuff, just head to patreon.com/wehaveconcerns.